Ken Helm was made a member of the Order of Australia earlier this year. He's been Mayor of Yass and he continues to be a great advocate for this region and its wines. On Monday he launched a book he's co-authored about the history of Riesling. On a frosty Murrumbateman morning this week, he told Kate Evans about his family's history in the wine industry.
The Helm family arrived in Australia in 1854. They'd followed John Peter Fraunfelder, who arrived in 1849, and he walked from Sydney to Albury, or close to Albury, to work out his passage. He was a bonded German migrant from near Heidelberg in Germany, and they worked for 2 years, and then they took up land as free settlers and planted the vineyards of Rutherglen. They were the first ones to plant there. So I'm the fourth generation.
And what led you to get into the winemaking business originally?
Well, with the wine industry falling out of my father's time, I joined CSIRO as an insect ecologist and worked with a large number of migrants up in the Snowy Mountains studying insects that attack eucalyptus trees. And then CSIRO transferred me to Canberra in 1967, where again I came in contact with a lot of people from Europe who appreciated wine. And a few of us decided it was a good idea to grow grapes around Canberra, and a lot of people from CSIRO came out and grew grapes. And when James Halliday first wrote about the area in about 1984, he called us the PhD vignerons because of all our academic background. When I first planted here, I wasn't quite sure which varieties we should be planting, and so I approached the Department of Agriculture in New South Wales, and they said, first of all, you're mad, Canberra's too cold to grow grapes, you should go to the Hunter Valley or Griffith. But if you wish to do it, you should look at a variety like Riesling. And with my background of Germany, of course, the home of Riesling, that seemed like a good idea. So we planted here in 1973, and the Riesling did extremely well. And in 1977, I started making Rieslings, and we have continued a vintage ever since. This is my 34th vintage, this one here. It was literally bottled 7 days ago. So I think what we should do is we should try it. Now, you can see that Riesling has a screw cap, and they say that when you go to a restaurant and we don't have a cork anymore, there's no lovely ceremony, but there is. What we should do is when they come to the restaurant, they should hold the bottle like that, and then in one action, like that, and then you pour. All right? So that's how it should be done with a screw cap, a little bit of ceremony. If it's grown correctly, it expresses the soil in which it's grown in. And this is one of the wonderful things with Riesling. Each vineyard will produce a different flavour depending on the soil, the aspect in which it's grown at, how the vines are managed, how the canopy is actually managed by the grape grower. And so you can get all these different flavours from the one grape, from within a couple of 100 metres of each other. The variety expresses its environment, which is something wonderful to be able to pick it up and say, oh, that's a Mosel, or oh, no, that's a Canberra Riesling. Well, this time of the year is pruning time. The vines have all lost their leaves, you can see, and so we're going through and pruning. This is a very important time for the vines because we prune them back so that we can get a small crop which is of high quality.
Though his vines lie dormant for the winter, Ken Helm doesn't stop working. He's promoting his new book on Riesling in Australia, which looks at the current success of the industry as well as the variety's history.
The first fleet had vines, and they were picked up at the Cape of Good Hope. And then when Arthur Phillip arrived in Palm Cove, and he walked up Macquarie Street and he planted them in the foyer of the Intercontinental Hotel. Those vines did grow, but it wasn't until around about 1815 that we started seeing Riesling being spoken about. When you come to Canberra, of course, Duntroon, now the military college, well, that was Campbell's property, and he built Duntroon House for himself and planted a vineyard. So people don't realise that vines were a very important part of Australia's history, and wherever settlement went, they took wine.
And this week, Ken flew to Germany to judge the International Best of Riesling competition, the first Australian to be given the honour.
I'm looking forward to that, to glean more information about Riesling, have a look at what the world is doing with Riesling, and hopefully bring back some ideas which will benefit both ourselves and all the other Riesling makers throughout Canberra.
Is it special going back to the land of your ancestors as well?
Yes, it is, and on the last day I'm actually going to go back across to Heidelberg and spend a day there, and also go up to the little village where they came from. It's nice to be able to walk in the footsteps of your ancestors.